All right, we'll call this meeting to order. I'd like to announce that this meeting is being webcast live and recorded. The recording or webcast may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. If you will join me, please, in a pledge of allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. There was no action taken in closed session this evening. We have two revisions to the agenda, number 5 and number 6. This is the time for general public comment. General public comment on any school-related topic may be heard at this time. Comments will be heard through our telephone call-in system. The call-in number is 559-931-8500. We will take calls in the order they are received. Pursuant to board policy, the board may limit individual comments to no more than 3 minutes and individual topics to 20 minutes. Please begin your comments by stating your first and last name. Do we have any calls yet?
Yes, you do.
All right, go ahead. And I'd like to point out, while the board listens to comments, board members and staff do not answer questions during public comment. If you have a specific question that you would like answered, please call the VUSD call center between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. That phone number is 559-730-7500. Go ahead, caller.
Go ahead, caller.
Hello, Visalia Unified Board. My name is Sam Zurich, and I'm a sophomore at El Diamante High School, enrolled in the Media Arts Academy. I wanted to go over what linked learning and CTE really sums up for me, and it's just one word: opportunity. Visalia Unified is unique for the opportunity they provide through its linked learning and CTE programs. Most of my friends from out of state or adults who have finished high school dream of this amazing opportunity provided to students like me. No matter what economic background you come from, all students are able to get an opportunity to see what it is like in a professional setting in the career path of their choice. Quite frankly, that's the beauty of this program. No matter who you are or where you come from, you have the ability to pursue a lifelong dream and make a lasting impact on the world. Never have I thought of this program as some sort of side class or elective. For the time I have been a part of media arts, I have seen linked learning as a type of key to my future. If there's one thing I do know about employers, is that a key point they look for is not only education, but experience. If someone can say they have done things like job shadowing in a professional setting, or have had hands-on experience with their career in high school, that can really make a possible employee a needle in the haystack. These are only a few reasons why the program provided by the VUSD is constitutionally beneficial and has beaming opportunities, which sets it out from most distinguished schools. So I ask of you, Visalia Unified, please reconsider reducing the linked learning and CTE budget. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other public comments?
There are. Just one moment, please.
Okay.
Hello, caller. Please go ahead by announcing your name.
Hello.
Yes, please continue with your name, please.
Oh, Tony Leaf.
You can proceed. You're online.
Thank you for your comment.
Yes, hi.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Tony Leaf, and I'd like to, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine. You might want to mute your speaker.
Oh. Hi, my name is Tony Leaf, and I have a son that is a senior at Golden West High School. And I've heard a lot of rumors that you guys are considering this drive-through graduation that seems to be so popular with neighboring communities. I'd like to go on record and oppose it and propose that you look at utilizing our large football stadium. It offers 57,000 square feet of grass that you can spread out to 1,000 kids and maintain social distancing and give them the opportunity to have a traditional graduation. It's probably the one and only thing these kids will have and experience through their graduation. So I'd hope you take this under consideration. I'd hate to do a drive-by graduation. You know, what are we going to offer them? Diploma and fries with that? So I ask the board members to please consider a traditional graduation. We have the setting and the ability to offer that to them.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other public comments?
There are. One moment, please. Hello, caller. Yeah, it is. One moment. I'm going to put you on. Please begin by announcing your name.
Okay, when do I start, Chuck? Right now?
Go ahead.
Good evening. This is John Coons from Redwood High School Ag Department. In the interest of time this evening, I'd just like to say a collective hello to board president, board members, superintendent, assistant superintendent, administrators, and staff. Thank you for listening to me tonight. I wanted to address this meeting briefly this evening. It seems like in light of comments made at the end of our last board meeting during the board member comment portion, seems to be a bit of a dust-up concerning whether or not we're seeing board member support of career technical education. And as you know, we've written letters and things this week going on with that. And I have three brief things I'd like to say to the board tonight regarding all of that. And I'd like to take the time to do that now. First of all, I'd like to say first thing is a thank you to the board members that have always supported us and things like that. We appreciate it so much over the years, the students and the support. And even a bigger thank you to those board members that maybe aren't supporting us right now for affording us the opportunity to speak to you tonight and have the opportunity to change your mind. Moreover, in front of the board and on record, there's some people that have been integral to these students that I'd like to say a public thank you to. Dr. Raveling and her staff, Assistant Superintendent Cardoza and his staff. A giant thank you out there to Dr. Parasol and everyone that works on his staff day in and day out for every one of these programs. They're doing a great job. Other people that I get to see firsthand do it, Robert Graber and company, Joe Haley and his crew, Jerry Lemus and company, Jim Sullivan and company, budgeting, purchasing, finance, all of these folks, I could go on and on. They're working day in and day out to give these kids the opportunities, and their efforts directly affect our students. And I'm in that unique spot where I get to see their hard work benefit and afford limitless opportunities to our students. Second thing I'd like to say to the board tonight is the moment we get kids back in class, and good Lord willing, that's soon, I want to invite everyone out to all of these CTE programs. I want you to see firsthand what's going on in the programs and the hard work that these students are putting in. As for me personally, any school day, any class period, you're always welcome. Any day during the summer at the school farm, we would love to have you out there talking to students and seeing what's going on. We want you to come and see the return on your investment. And the third thing that I'll close with tonight is, speaking for myself and folks in CTE, we don't think we're special. We think we are just one quality part of a giant quality system that we have in our district. Like everyone else, in an effort to be informed, we are hearing from our state personnel and things like that we could be looking at budget cuts coming down the road. We keep hearing rumors of the number in the 20 percentile of what we could be facing. We fully expect to tighten up our belts and shoulder that burden of just right along with everyone else, because we know that at our site, we're a part of a team, part of a family. And the idea of pitting one program against the other, or VAPA over CTE or CTE over VAPA, that just doesn't serve well in our district, because as you all know, every one of these programs is serving a student population that means so much to our community. So I want to urge our board members to continue to think about things in that light. If there is a burden, let's shoulder it together. Let's move forward together. In closing, at the end of the day, we're all serving kids. We want to do good things. I want to thank you for your time tonight. May we all stay safe and conquer our educational difficulties that we have ahead together. May we work together on that. And again, thank you for your time and have a good evening. Respectfully.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Do we have any other comments?
You do. One moment, please. Hello, caller. You have a comment for the school board? Okay. Go ahead in just a moment and begin by announcing your name. Go ahead, caller.
Good evening, board. My name is Jacob Naylor. I'm a teacher, a CTE instructor at Melanie High School, and I teach in the Academy of Health Sciences. I'm calling just like I'm sure a lot of other people tonight in regards to CTE. I want to begin by just saying thank you for the support that the board has given to not only the professionals that make up our district CTE and linked learning professionals, but also thank you for all the things that you allow us to do through CTE and linked learning for our students. I also want to give a big thank you to James Pariseau, Dr. Pariseau, for all he does in regards to CTE. Again, I'm just calling to communicate and be on record that I believe CTE is vital to our district and to our students. Not only is it on our school dashboard for the state, but we are only 1.6% below the state score for college and career readiness. And CTE and linked learning pathways are vital and rigorous courses that allow our students to fulfill that requirement. And I think now more than ever, it's important for us to come together and not to say one is better than the other, or even to pit programs against one another, because we're all professionals. We're all here for the same reason, to advance our students' ability to be successful, not only in the academic world, but in the workforce. And I think that this needs to be something that is said and reminded of our board, that we are all on the same page. It's unfortunate that individuals believe that, we have to separate these things when we just need to band together and be supportive of one another. I think CTE is a great thing that we're offering to our students. And I think it would be a shame that even offhanded comments that, even social media getting a hold of it, those things just need to be done away with. And we need to stay focused on what is important as our students and coming together and being as successful as we can. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there any other public comment?
There is. Just one moment. Hello? Hi, do you have a comment for the school board? Okay. Begin in just a moment by stating your name. Go ahead, caller.
Good evening, board members. My name is Nick Messia. Last week, I sent you an email that expressed my concerns regarding the frustration about the district's proposal to handle the 8th grade promotion as a drive-by, similar to lunches, school assignments, and the end-of-year equipment drop-off. Disappointed that I did not receive any response. In return, I wanted to express my concerns this evening. With graduation and promotions all but canceled, time is of the essence to act now and provide to these 12th and 8th graders a brief moment that can be similar to the district's normal ceremonies. I'm encouraged that the district is providing some normalcy for the seniors and allowing them to walk the stage and accept the diploma and awards with photo opportunities. I agree that this event will make limited family members in attendance, but at least it keeps with the traditional ceremony as in years past, as all the while complying with social distancing. However, in contrast, the promotion ceremonies for the 8th grades are not equitable, and I can only compare it to a drive-through. 8th graders have no opportunity to stop and make a memory. Why is it the district is not allowing the 8th graders to not have the ability to stop, get out in a controlled and organized manner to take a photo with a pre-established backdrop and celebrate for 5 to 10 minutes with immediate family? To some of these students, this may be the only ceremony they will ever have. Something this simple allows the district to remain equitable, financially cognizant, and comply with the social distancing. I'm requesting the board take action to ensure fair equity is distributed to all graduations and promotions in order to create a memorable event and not a drive-by pickup. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Messia. Is there any other public comment?
There are no more calls at this time.
All right, then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Any board member wish to pull an item? Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? I have a motion by Mr. Fulmer, a second by Ms. Gamoyen. I'll take the roll. The student representative is a yes. President Crabtree is a yes. Trustee Foster is a yes. Trustee Fulmer is a yes.
Yes.
Trustee Gamoyen
Yes.
is a yes. Trustee Guerrero,
Yes.
Trustee Naylor,
Yes.
and Trustee Vasquez. She is a yes. All right, we'll move on to focus on student learning. Enclosure number 18, support for students with dyslexia and process for, I'm sorry, students with dyslexia. Mrs. Dillon.
You guys hear me okay?
You bet.
Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and have you share it.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, good evening, Board President Crabtree, members of the board, and Dr. Raveline. My name is Angela Dillon, and I'm Director of Special Education. And this evening, I'm going to provide you with a real quick update on the dyslexia curriculum adoption that we've been working on this school year. Let's see if we're going to advance. It's just waiting. Technical difficulties, sorry about that. So the agenda for tonight's presentation is a couple of things. First, we'll look at what is dyslexia, as well as the Orton-Gillingham approach to reading. And this information will give you a little bit of background as to why there's a need for a specialized reading intervention curriculum for our students. Then we'll go on and talk a little bit about the selection process and the work of the Dyslexia Task Force this last year. We'll talk a little bit about the Spire Reading program, which is the selected dyslexia curriculum that we're going to move forward with, along with the financial obligation of the district, and then the plan for training and staff support. So dyslexia is a specific learning disability, and up to 80% of all specific learning disabilities exhibit characteristics of dyslexia. It's neurobiological in origin, which means it often runs in families. So for a student who has dyslexia or is exhibiting characteristics of dyslexia, they often have a family member like a parent or a sibling who is also demonstrating or has a diagnosis of dyslexia. So it's characterized by difficulties with word recognition and pronunciation. We often find that students have difficulty with chunking words into parts. They struggle with poor spelling and decoding abilities, especially with words that are brand new or unfamiliar to them. And we often see that in dyslexia, they have a phonological processing deficit. And what that means is they can hear everything that's being presented, but they struggle to process the sounds that they're hearing. They're not able to process sounds and blend sounds together that form words that then allow them to read and appropriately comprehend the work that what they're reading. And then the other piece to that is there's a deficit with their short-term memory. So they struggle with the ability to recall things in the short term. So this slide just goes through more of an example of some of the impacts of dyslexia. Some of the dyslexia impacts could include difficulty getting ideas on paper. Students a lot of times have the inability to hear the sounds that are being spoken to them. They can't remember what words look like. They struggle with the alphabet and what letters look like, those types of things. So the Orton-Gillingham approach to reading is an evidence-based approach to teaching reading for students with dyslexia. Most programs utilize the Orton-Gillingham method as that approach, and it's been obviously a lot of research behind it and very effective in showing growth of students that are demonstrating those significant reading deficits, specifically those with dyslexia. So that methodology utilizes the multisensory structured language education, or the MSLE. And basically what that means is that it provides students with a very explicit form of teaching. It's systematic and it's sequential. And it has 4 parts, which I've listed there. So it's very explicit. So things like decoding and encoding is explicitly taught to our students. So every rule, every pattern is taught directly to our students. It's systematic and it's structured, meaning that it's taught the exact same way every single time. Due to the memory deficits, there has to be that constant structure in the way that it's taught. It's sequential and it's cumulative, which means that it needs to be taught in a way that spirals. So it builds upon previously taught skills in order to continue moving forward, and is constantly going back and revisiting those skills. And it's multisensory in the sense that it uses as many of the senses as possible in order to engage that short-term memory and store it in the long term. So examples of a multisensory approach could be things like writing letters in the air or writing letters in sand. In a few minutes, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Spire curriculum, and there's an example of one of their multisensory lessons that I'll be able to show you. Before we get to that, I'm going to talk a little bit about the selection process and how we worked through that piece. We did utilize a task force of folks who came together to support us through that process. That included myself, along with the Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and the Directors of College and Career Readiness and Social Emotional Wellness. We had several special education program managers on the task force, along with school psychologists and curriculum TOSAs, several education specialists, as well as general education teachers. And I neglected to add that we also had a couple of speech and language therapists that sat on the panel as well, due to the language deficit, or the difficulties with language that comes with dyslexia. This slide is just going to take you a little bit through the timeline of the work, starting back from January of 2019 and how we've gotten to where we are today. The district, and I know we've talked about this before, but the district was identified as falling into differentiated assistance in January of 2019. And then we were identified as falling into performance indicator review in March of 2019. And what that means is that the information from the dashboard was looked at, and because of where we were performing in a number of areas, we needed to put together a plan of moving forward to make sure that we were addressing those areas that we were falling below standard. And particularly as it relates to this presentation, it's really looking at where we fell and how we can do better in terms of supporting our students when it comes to our ELA performance. So we built those plans, and in August of this last year, we began implementing our DA and PIR plan. And as part of that plan, what we did is we sent out a curriculum survey to all of our teachers, because we wanted to get their feedback in terms of where they felt we needed to do a better job of servicing our students. And what came back is a need for curriculum, and specifically a need for curriculum focused on dyslexia. So in September, starting in September and September through December, we took some time researching some programs, looking at different methodologies for consideration. And then in January of this year, the task force came together for some training specifically on dyslexia, and to look at varying curriculum programs. We actually started with about 7 programs, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. And from there, we were able to indicate 2 programs that we wanted to take forward to the remaining special education staff for consideration. So in February, we put our curriculum on display at district office so that staff could come in and get their hands on it and be able to look through things. And then we also spent some time in February at our Visalia Community Advisory Committee providing our parents with some information regarding dyslexia, our plan of support, and then giving them an opportunity to see the curriculum and be able to provide us with some feedback on that. In March and April of 2020, we did some curriculum presentations by Spire and Sunday. Those were the two programs that the task force indicated that they wanted to move forward and bring to the rest of the team. And then we sent out a survey to staff for them to be able to provide some feedback on both of those programs and ultimately let us know which program they felt would be most appropriate for our student population. And we had about 70% of those who responded indicate that they wanted, that Spire was the program that would be best suited for our students' needs. So now come to May, we've taken this proposal to cabinet and they have reviewed it and approved it. And we're working through the purchasing, completing the purchasing and scheduling summer trainings, which will occur sometime in July of this coming school year. And obviously with the state that we're in and not quite sure what things are going to look like, we're actually planning for an in-person training as well as a digital training if that's the route we need to go. So this is just a really quick chart that shows you the programs that we started with. We started with 7 different programs and the Dyslexia Task Force spent time researching those programs and exploring those programs and having the folks from those programs come out and provide us with information. They selected Sunday and Spire to take forward, and then ultimately our staff determined that Spire was the program that they wanted to move forward with. Spire is a supplemental reading program. It is not a core replacement, so this would be something that students would engage in as part of intensive reading intervention. The Spire reading program is a tier 3 reading intervention, covers all of the critical areas of reading that I have listed there, like phonological awareness and phonics and decoding and spelling and fluency and comprehension, vocabulary and writing. It's multi-sensory, utilizing the Orton-Gillingham approach that I had talked about earlier in my presentation. And it's roughly 45 to 60 minute lessons. It's a 10-step lesson that you can typically do over 2 days that's really focusing on that language development. And that picture at the bottom is an example of a multi-sensory lesson that they provide. So students have an opportunity to manipulate the letters and the sounds to build words, which ultimately supports the deficit that they have with the short-term memory. So as far as our financial obligation, what we plan is that we will have 2 kits, which is the Sounds Sensible, and that is very early reading skills, letter recognition in our preschool. And then we will have 51 teachers across 26 of our comprehensive sites at the elementary schools implementing the program. We'll have 1 teacher at Charter Homeschool Academy, 3 teachers in our SELC program at Golden Oak, and 3 teachers at Compass at the elementary level. At the middle school level, we'll have 5 teachers across the 5 comprehensive sites. We'll have our 1 SELC teacher at Valley Oak and our 1 Compass teacher. And at the high school, we'll have 16 teachers across the 4 comprehensive sites. We'll have our 3 charter teachers at VTech, VCIS, and Creekside, and we'll have the 1 teacher at Compass as well. So that total cost down there of $120,000 was actually a preliminary number based off of just preliminary information from our folks. We spent time this week getting more specifics in terms of their kids and their levels and what the need is going to be. And the total cost will actually be about $130,000 for the program. And then lastly, regarding training and support, we will be working, like I said, with Spire to provide some initial training, and that'll either be done in person or will be done via an online approach or a distance approach. Spire provides 1 day of training, and Sounds Sensible is a half-day training. We're actually going to have that training attended by our ed specialists and program managers. I myself plan to attend that along with our SPED TOSA, our educator support TOSAs, and our new teacher mentors, so that across departments, we are familiarized with the program and can continue to support our staff in the long term. And then as far as ongoing training and support, we will put together SPED PLCs that will be focused on that ongoing support of Spire. And then we'll be looking at ongoing coaching that will be provided by the special education TOSAs and the program managers. Do you have any questions?
Is there any public comment?
There are no comment at this time.
Okay, if anyone does call in, we'll take them after board comments. Trustee Vasquez.
Hi there. I did have some questions. I was able to attend the February talk on this. I was very interested. I'm a little confused with the pricing and also with the training. So is the pricing based on the number of teachers that are using it, the number of classrooms that are using it, the number of students that are using it? And then the training, you had 16 teachers at high school and 5 at middle schools, but you had very few people actually being trained. Could you enlighten me a little bit on how that works?
Yes, absolutely. So the teachers that you see indicated there, so like our 51 teachers and so on, all of those teachers will be trained on the program. But we're going to include, those are our ed specialists who will be working directly with students to provide the intervention. However, because we know that there's going to be that need for that ongoing support, that one day alone is not going to be enough, we're going to bring in our TOSAs and our mentors from educator support so that they're there to support our brand new teachers as they come in. What we want to make sure is that every person who would be supporting our ed specialists at some point have been trained on the program so that they know how to answer questions or get the right people involved so that we can continue to support them.
So you're saying that all the teachers that are going to be using it have that one-day training, but you're going to have like a specialized team that can then offer more support. Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct.
Okay. And then can you explain how you came up with your cost, please?
Yes. So what we did is we sent out actually a Google survey to our teachers. And because unfortunately we're not able to work directly one-on-one with our students due to the school closure, they had a couple of documents provided by Spire that would help teachers place them in the specific level of the program. And so we were able to get all of that feedback from them, how many students would benefit from this type of program, and we were able to send that to Spire. So that $133,000 that I had quoted is everything. That's going to be every pack or program, and we are ordering multiple levels for students because we anticipate students will grow through those programs. That will include our training. It's including all of the shipping and getting everything here. So that is the total cost to get us going.
To get us going, and then is there a yearly cost after that? Or that's
After
just to
that,
increase the number of kits shouldn't be as much?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So after this, there will be a cost because there are consumables that are associated with the program, but it's typically about a third of the initial cost. So it'll be a much lower number in years to come.
Okay, I think it's great, and I would love to know how the training goes, or maybe even be, you know, especially if it's virtual, it's not going to cost us anything else. You know, I'd love to see that as well. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Trustee Gamoyan.
Yes. Approximately how many students are you talking about in our district that will need this curriculum?
Yeah, so earlier in the presentation, I had indicated that roughly 80% or so of students with a specific learning disability exhibit characteristics. So we have about 1,250 or so students that qualify for special education as a student with a specific learning disability. And so when you take that number, 80% is going to be right at about 1,000 students that we anticipate will benefit from the program, if not more.
Okay, and is there a goal that they would exit this curriculum eventually?
Yes, absolutely. So this program has the Sounds Sensible program, which is those early reading skills, and then it starts at level 1. We are purchasing level 1 through level 6. It actually goes up to, I believe it's level 14. However, in talking to the vendor, once they hit level 6, they really should be pushed back and receiving all of their instruction back in general education, and they should be able to access general education curriculum and reading materials at that time.
Thank you. Excellent.
You're welcome.
Trustee Vasquez.
Thank you. Oh, am I still on?
You are.
No? Okay, good. And we would expect to identify more and more, because I mean, that was one of the things that came out of that meeting. Will already be in place because we'll have teachers trained, but as we identify more, we're ordering enough kits to be able to do that. I know we have some consumables, but some of the kits, like the, the, what do you call it? The hands-on stuff, right? Well, we're taking all that into account.
Absolutely.
Identified more.
Yes, absolutely. And actually, we've been working really closely with our school psychologists this year to provide training to both school psychologists and program managers in preparation to provide additional training to our ed specialists, so that as we're working through the assessment process, we're recognizing those characteristics of dyslexia and being able to look more closely at that when we assess to determine whether or not it's a student with a reading disability or a student who's demonstrating dyslexia.
So part of that is identifying new people.
Yes.
That may be out there. Great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Mr. Foster's trying to get your attention, Mr.
I guess
Crabtree. I know you can't see
unmute
everybody.
myself first. Mr. Foster. Hold on, we gotta turn you loose here.
But I'm impressed by the low cost of your program. But I was just wondering, how much progress does this program promise? How many grade levels of reading or achievement do you achieve in this program per year?
Gotcha. So typically when we look at what we're purchasing for, let's say, a teacher who teaches kinder through 3rd grade, we are pretty much looking at the Sounds Sensible program, which is those early reading skills, levels 1, 2, and 3. And so what we would hope is that by the time a student leaves 3rd grade, they would complete level 3. And then move on into 4th grade and be able to hit levels 4, 5, and 6. Whether or not that happens, that's going to be dependent upon that student and their specific unique needs. At this point, we do anticipate that we will see middle and high school students that are in levels 5 and 6, but the idea is to be able to progress them through the levels and be able to get them out of utilizing Spire.
Thank you.
What we'll be doing, and just so you guys know, what we'll be doing is we're working right now to figure out how do we continue to monitor this progress aligned with reporting periods and goal progress, so that we can continue to monitor and make sure that the program is showing the growth that we're expecting it to show.
Any other comments? Thank you, Ms. Dillon. This is for information only.
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to 5.2, enclosure number 19, process for local control accountability plan, review approval process. Mr. Sullivan.
How are you this evening? I'm going to share my screen. Can you see it?
You can. I can.
Oh, good. My name is Jim Sullivan. I'm the administrator of accountability, and I'm here to share with you the new process that we're going to have for this year regarding our local control accountability plan, as well as share with you the documents. I believe you received a link regarding services that are support that we provide to schools using Lcap funds. So now, okay, just a minute, I can't. Okay, check. think you're gonna have to take over. I can't move my screen.
Jim, you'll have to click on the presentation first, then you should be able to control it.
Oh, there we go. Okay, thank you. I want to remind you that it's around $59 million that we have in our Lcap. You can see that it's 48 million is our supplemental concentration funds that we receive through the state. And then 12 million is through federal funds. And of course, this is based on our estimate before the governor has said what our budget will be for next year. So this, I'm going to guess the 48 million will be significantly lower after next week. Our original timeline for the 2023 Lcap was in September. If you remember, we began holding stakeholder engagements with our community, district advisory committees, our staff, and our administrators. In April every year, I usually share with you our rough draft, and then we put online a community survey based on the rough draft. And then in June, we had planned on you approving our Lcap with our budget. However, because of the executive order N5620, the governor has approved a new process for Lcap. So in June of 2020, with the budget approval, we're going to also share with you a report that's going to share out what we have been doing based on using funds since we have been closed schools. And then in December, you will approve our 2021 Lcap. That is in the middle of the school year. And what they're hoping is I'm thinking is this is going to give us time to develop a plan on what school will look like and what we need to do to purchase other things, or what we're going to do is reallocate funds as school may change. In June of 2021, we will ask you to approve our 21-24 Lcap along with our budget approval. So they have shifted the Lcap, the 3-year Lcap, and I'm going to share that with you right now. So originally it was going to be a 2023 Lcap. Year 1 was going to be 2021, and year three was going to be the 2022-2023 school year, or Lcap. You can see it's going to look a little different. We're going to have a 1-year Lcap, which will be approved in December for the 2021 school year. And then it'll become a 21-24 Lcap. I know it's kind of lots of numbers, lots of years. Is there any questions on that before I move on to sharing how we actually support our sites? We plan on supporting our sites next year. Okay. So in your document, you're going to see
Mr.
this.
Guerrero, do you have a comment?
I'm sorry, I didn't see his.
Yeah. So on the 21-24 Lcap, we're looking at 3 years. So are we to receive our funding levels for those 3 years?
No. What will happen is remember, Juan, when Lcap first hit, we actually every year we had an increase of funds.
Yeah.
This year, I'm going to guess every year will be a decrease of funds. So every year we'll be coming to you with, this is what we had planned and this is how it's going to change. So we'll be working with our stakeholders a lot in the next few years.
Excuse me.
Mr.
Sullivan, Mr. Sullivan, you're saying a 3-year decline, but I mean, the economy changes a little bit more it's more volatile than I would expect the revenue to go up. And we're at a recession level now. I mean, it's only going to go up. Wouldn't it go up in the future?
I'm not an economist. I don't know. I'm just
Either
guessing
am
every
I.
year. Every year we'll be coming to you with our estimate. You know, when we write the Lcap for the 21-24 school year or 3-year plan, we have an estimate that the state gives us. And then every year, obviously, then we get numbers, real numbers. Then we come back to you with what the real numbers are and what we're going to do.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead, Jim.
Okay, so this document, you're going to see this actually in every one of the feeder groups, because I think it was important for us to see that if you look at, for example, the homeless, the percentage of homeless and foster, you can see that each feeder group has roughly the same percentage. But then I also put the numbers because I think that's important for us to see that Golden West feeder has 152 homeless, El Diamante has 145. You can see, so we can see the numbers as well as the percentage. And we shared this document because one of the concerns was the way we're wanting to support families with our SWAS and our social workers and our district liaisons. So you can see that we've they're spread out, the percentages and the numbers. And so you can see that other feeder groups will be receiving additional support once we finalize these numbers and we finalize our plans. This is a typical elementary school that you will look at during our plan, in the documents. You read this as, so total students is 583 students. They're ranked 15 out of the 26 elementary sites. You can go all the way across. There's no special programs that we have at Goshen. Our English learner population is 39%, and they're ranked 5th out of the 26 elementary sites. Student support, we have a 7-hour behavior intervention technician. We have a 6-hour kinder paraprofessional that we pay for, an assistant principal, an intervention teacher, as well as a half-time psychologist, and you can see a 0.6 FTE intern. The funding that the schools get is at the bottom in green. Each school receives general fund of $112.98, and you multiply that by the number of students, and that's what you get. For Title I, it's $212 per student for elementary schools. And in the Lcap, we receive $193.48. This is the part that's going to be different. 8 of our elementary schools receive a little more funds than the rest of the elementary schools because they are the highest need schools. So they receive $30 more per student using in Lcap funds. This is a Valley Oak is obviously our middle schools. You can see there's 915 students. They are the
I lost sound.
Yeah, I lost the audio on that.
Yeah.
And I have a question.
Gonna have to reload.
I think the computer froze, so we'll have to wait a minute.
Can I ask my question while we're waiting?
You can, I don't know if
If you can
Mr.
hear me.
Sullivan can hear you.
Mr. Sullivan, can you hear me?
I don't believe you can.
Oh, we lost him completely. He looks good though. He looks healthy. He looks good.
Yeah.
Must be time for tea.
I'm texting with him. He's trying to get back on.
It appears his internet is temporarily down. Would you like to move on and then we can resume his report if we're able to get him back online?
Definitely.
Now can you hear me? God, I had the greatest lines and they weren't coming through.
sorry.
Mrs.
I don't know what
Travis,
happened.
all right,
There he is.
we'll wait since we have Jim back. We'll be back to you, Savannah. Go ahead, Jim.
Sorry.
I think Lucia had a question for you.
Okay.
Yeah, Kate, are you going to share your screen? If you could go back to a slide, please, back. So I have two questions, actually. Does not include Ridgeview. Does that mean that the Goshen or any of the Ridgeview feeders are not included in this data?
No, yes, and the reason is because Ridgeview feeds into 3 different schools. So I have to, in order to do that, we have to go student by student. So that's going to take a little longer for me to get that data.
So
So
are they mixed in or they're not there at all?
They're
I
not
don't
there at
understand.
all with anybody right now.
So we're talking then all the Ridgeview feeders are not included in
No,
this data?
only the Ridgeview Middle School. The feeders are, the elementaries are all in there. And La Jolla, for El Diamante, for example, all of the elementaries are there. La Jolla is there. Ridgeview's data is not in there.
Okay, so that was my question, because I didn't know if, since all the Ridgeview come from the feeder, so let's say Goshen would be there because it feeds into Ridgeview, it's a Ridgeview people that are not there because they get spread out to the other ones. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
excellent. And
Right.
if you could go to the next slide. When you say they're ranked 5 out of 26, you're saying academically they're ranked? The whole
No.
school is ranked out of our 26 campuses, or ranked 3? What does that mean, please?
That means that 39%, so they have 39% of their students are English learners. So there are 5 schools that have more a higher percentage of English learners than they do. It's the percentage of English learners. So 5 out of 26. So out of the percentage, if we put all the percentage of English learners, so I'm going to say Houston might have 42%. So they're ranked
Okay, so
second.
the same thing as socioeconomic, then they're ranked the 4th highest of being socioeconomic, and the homeless, they're second highest out of all of our 26 elementary schools.
Yes,
That's what you mean?
exactly. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You explained it much better than I did. Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that I understood it. Yeah, thank you very much. Those were my questions. I just wanted clarification. Thank you.
Okay. Ooh, let's go back. So that's Valley Oaks. Any questions on Valley? And you can see we give every middle school $10,000 for VAPA. So for El Diamante, in this example,
excuse me, Jim, I have a comment on the VAPA at the middle schools. They all get $10,000.
Yes.
And they all choose to do with that $10,000 as they wish.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you.
I encourage them, and I work with the principals, because the purpose of this money is to really to level the playing field so that they're not having to raise so much money. So that we really work with the principals is that I need the money to go towards the license for the play, or extra instruments, or extra uniforms, or stuff like that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So are you saying that it needs to be consistent district-wide?
No. Each school can do their own, but I don't want I don't want sites to decide to spend it on shelving, the $10,000 on shelving.
Yeah, Jim, but we've been discussing this whole VAPA thing for a while, and I'm going to point this out since this is an Lcap presentation. You know, we're cutting some programs there at Valley Oak. Okay, there's no drama at Divisadero. So these communities such as Ivanhoe, Patterson Tracks, Crowley, Lincoln Oval Neighborhood, the Washington Elementary School District, Lanell Camp, which are your highest social or hardest hit socioeconomic neighborhoods in our district. Okay. They're not having these type of arts programs there. So it seems to me that as a district, we should be consistent, and we should have drama, say at Divisadero, where there is no drama right now. And we should not be cutting our VAPA programs where we might have music and whatnot. And I know there's a bad economics times right now, but you know what? As soon as we can, whatever we cut in the arts, they need to be restored. So I'm basically saying, you know what? I don't know if we should leave it up to each school site, because what I just pointed out to you are communities that go to Valley Oak and to Divisadero Middle School. And they're very hard hit Lcap communities.
Right. So,
So that,
go ahead.
so
Go
that,
ahead.
that VAPA money is just saying for materials, that doesn't count the teacher, that doesn't
No.
count any of the programming. That's just the VAPA materials, music, licenses, so that they have a little, that's just their little slush fund for VAPA programming, not
Yeah,
teachers, not programming, nothing else.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's for.
Thank
But
you.
the Lcap does support teachers and it does support programs. Am I correct?
We don't support in our LCAP currently, we don't support, you can see we don't support any VAPA teachers district wide except for the elementary music team.
Well, maybe we should.
Okay. So that's Valley Oak. And then El Diamante, you can see again how this is read. 2,000 students, they're second largest out of the 4 high schools. Socioeconomically disadvantaged, 57% of their students are socioeconomically disadvantaged. They're ranked 4 out of the 4, so they're the lowest. They have the fewest percentage of students that are socioeconomically disadvantaged. Our district support for them is a learning director. You can see for AVID what we pay for, our assistant principal, on-campus intervention. We have an intervention teacher and the school psychologists. The additional funds you can see is for general fund. They receive $112 per student. Title I, they receive $113 per student. All of the high schools receive the same amount per student as $113 for Title I. And Link Learning, they have $54,000 $54,000 in their Link Learning and CTE funds for, this is not their teachers, again, this is just discretionary, what we call discretionary. So they can buy materials, supplies, one-time costs come out of that. LCAP is $74 a student, and that's based on the percentage of unduplicated, and they receive around 91,000. And then in VAPA, each high school receives 35,000. So that's real. Oh, yes.
So I'm sorry, can you explain the per student when you say like the LCAP unduplicated student and the linked learning unduplicated, the students there, is that the number of students at that campus or the number of students that are considered low income, the number of students that are considered, you know, SED, the numbers that you've put at the top?
So the numbers we put at the top are, so for LCAP, the $74.79, you would multiply that times the number of unduplicated students to get the $91,000.
Unduplicated students, meaning the
They are
57% of students or the
59,
100%?
the 59% of their students are unduplicated. So unduplicated means they're either low socioeconomic income, English learner, or a foster youth.
Okay, that makes more sense. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. And so that's how we read that chart. And you can always give me a call. You have this for every single school, and you'll be able to look at all of the schools to see what we fund through our LCAP, as well as the site funds. That additional site funds, those are all run through, all except for the VAPA funds are all run through their school site council, the VAPA and general fund. So any of the Title I, the Link Learning and CTE funds are given through them through the College and Career Readiness Department. So that's not through their single school plan either. The LCAP funds are in their single school plan, and the VAPA funds are not. So any other questions, and you can give me a call. I just wanted to help you understand how to read that big document.
Is there any public comment on this item?
There are no calls at this time.
Any other board member comments?
Yeah, and just for clarification, we're always having to approve an LCAP budget in June. So per Jim's presentation, that's not going to be done until December. Am I correct with that?
Yes, you are. Our LCAP, but Mr. Guerrero, the LCAP funds are in the budget that Nathan presents. It's just how they're allocated will not be approved until December.
Yeah, and for the governors, I mean, we're getting budget information, and I know it's not going to be a good budget year. So I think in the latter part of May, Superintendent Mr. Hernandez, Nathan Hernandez, will come in and present the May revise. Am I correct with that also? And so when do we approve a budget at Visalia Unified School District?
You'll approve it in June, the entire school district budget.
But we're not including Lcap in that.
You're including the LCAP funds, yes. You won't include how we allocate the funds. No, that's complicated, I know. So, yeah. Mr. Guerrero, just so you know, is our current plan is to keep the LCAP just how we pretty much have shared it with you before this all happened. And then if major changes come up because of budget crunches, we would come back to you on those.
All right, then, thank you.
Trustee Vasquez, did you have another comment?
Yes, I have another question. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. You look great, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
It's good to see you. Thank you for this. I really like the way that you spread it out. You know, we're always asking how to see stuff and the transparency. And I understand now better how the per student for the LCAP. So the general fund that you put there, is that LCAP general fund or is that just general fund? And how do you come with that number? Is that also a per student?
Yes, that's per student. If you go back, it's 112. So for high schools, it's $112.98 times the number of students.
Number of students, all students.
All students.
And then we get into the unduplicated when we go later into the specialties.
Exactly. When you hit the LCAP funds, that's unduplicated. The linked learning funds, they allocate based on the number of students that are in the programs and the CT as well. And then
so that money said that linked learning, that's the number of students in the programs of linked learning, yet you're not including any of the CTA money in this projection.
Any of the grant CTE money, no. This is only LCAP funds.
This is LCAP funds that are going to the kids that are going to the linked learning per student is getting this much money per program. But this does not cover any of the CTE grants that they're getting also, because this is just LCAP funding.
Exactly.
But this does outline for us exactly how much LCAP funding each CTE program is getting.
Each campus gets, yes.
Right, great, thank you.
Any other board member comments? Nice job on this report, Mr. Sullivan. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now we will move on to Savannah Travis from Redwood.
Hello. So it's good to be here. Hello, board. And so on my report for Redwood High School, they had their senior scholarship night take place tonight at 7 p.m. through video. The Senior Rangers 2020 Instagram page announces current seniors and their college decisions. Hip hop and international dance tryouts have been extended to May 15th. Redwood ASB is accepting applications due May 22nd, and they will be holding elections for the executive board and class officers soon. Redwood High School Band is working hard and put together a virtual band performance that the students are able to watch. As for El Diamante High School, the El Diamante class of 2020 is voting for an outstanding minor to receive the Rotary Citizen Scholarship Award, and the polls open May 13th and close May 15th. LD has had a successful scholarship night yesterday, May 11th, and LD is creating a class of 2020 video, and they're excited about how it will turn out. And the El Diamante High School Dance 2020 performed on Vimeo. For Golden West High School, Golden West has announced all their 2020-2021 ASB officer team. Congrats to all the new officers. Golden West is still selling yearbooks for $95 through jostens.com. Golden West teachers are continuing to make videos that show how much they care about their students. And the Golden West Trailblazers 2020 Instagram page features current seniors, their future plans, their major, and their favorite quote. For Mount Whitney High School, the Mount Whitney Class of 2020 Instagram page shouts out their seniors and their future plans, and Mount Whitney had a successful cap and gown distribution. Now, as for the average student in quarantine, we are all pulling through. The AP exams are being conducted this week and next week through online testing. Students, please check your email often for information, and good luck to all the students testing for college credit. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and there are a lot of positive posts being put out on social media to support and share love. And although prom was canceled, there have been lots of at-home proms. Students took pictures, had takeout, and had lots of fun. It's great to know students are still able to experience such memorable moments. And lastly, we're all loving the warmer weather and spending a lot of time outside. So hopefully we're all getting some new tan lines. Thank you. President Capture, you're on mute.
Right down here. There we go. The space bar wasn't working. I understand that you have chosen where you are moving on to for your higher education. And where is that?
I will be attending Brigham Young University Provo in the fall.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And the best of luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to board reports. Trustee Fulmer, you have something for us?
No report.
I have no report. Ms. Gamoyan?
I received lots of emails these last couple of weeks, and I received emails from the high school choir directors, and they were concerned because they thought that we were making cuts in the performing arts, which we are not. And what had happened were there were some cuts in classes that had low signups. So they were asking me a bunch of questions, which I couldn't answer. So I called Mrs. Somavia, and we arranged a meeting together. And we came up with some very interesting things we're going to work on. The first thing is that all the pathways for band and choir in the middle schools are intact. Secondly, we saw that there were not the same course offerings at each of the middle schools, and that's something we're going to work on. So we have the same course offerings, that kids have all the same opportunities at all the middle schools. Also, that there needed to be articulation between 4th grade through high school, and also placing teachers in positions where they really thrive most. There were at the secondary schools, there were 56 classes cut. 7 of those were the performing arts, but those cuts went across the board. I also want to say that we're not, because I'm getting a lot of emails supporting CTE, emails supporting performing arts. It's not either or, it's both. That the board supports both. And we're not cutting programs. We're not cutting link learning. We're not cutting any programs at this time. But there is some uncertainty. And I believe this board is very committed to making those cuts as far away from the classroom as we can. And my last thing is, I hope the next board meeting, we actually meet in person with all our safety protocols. So thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Foster? Hold up, we gotta turn you back on.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I want to congratulate our student rep for her acceptance at Brigham Young. Also want to congratulate our colleague, Mr. Fulmer. His granddaughter is going to the other school in Los Angeles. I want to congratulate him for that. And I want to say that as I go through the community on my mail route every day, I want to say that the the superintendent is supported by the overwhelming majority of the constituents in this town, and that she has made the right decisions, whether it be closing the schools and keeping them closed. She has done a tremendous job. We support her and we thank her for her efforts, and also the rest of the staff. They've done a great job. We appreciate you in this difficult time. Thank you.
Trustee Naylor.
Yeah, I also wanted to echo just a thank you to the staff, certificated and classified, for all their hard work. This is uncharted territory, and this pandemic is a lot of stuff that we have to do for the very first time. And I know that people are working very hard to do the best job that we can do and keep our students in mind. I also wanted to say that, all our programs are important. And I just want to let students know and staff and parents that CTE, VAPA, all our programs are important. It gives our kids opportunities to be successful, team building, and all those other things. So we want to take the cuts as far away from the programs as possible. But we do need to make sure that our classes are full. And we do have some budgets that are going to be difficult to deal with. So just so you know, the board is supportive of VAPA and CTE and all the other different programs that we have out there for kids, because we have a lot of diversity out there, and we need to make sure that we give opportunities to all. And then I know I've gotten a lot of emails also on graduation promotion ceremonies, and I hear your concerns. I know that this is a memorable moment, and that the district is trying its best to listen to those suggestions, devise a plan that is safe, and also that is going to make sure that this is a memorable moment. But we got to make sure that we keep kids safe and that we keep everyone safe. So we do hear your concerns, and we as a board are committed to putting something together that will highlight our students. So thank you.
Trustee Vasquez.
Thank you. I wrote notes so that I wouldn't forget anything. So first of all, I hope everyone is well and that your families are well, and that your loved ones are all in good health, because this is a scary time. Secondly, I really want to thank all those people that reached out. I also got a lot of emails, a lot of parents, a lot of teachers, and a lot of students. And it was so nice to hear how well things are working, and to be able to hear students that say, this is how it helped me, and this is what I've seen the growth. And it's great to hear those things. I think there was a really big misunderstanding that some of us were against CTE. I mean, it is time. We're all going to have to cut all across the board. We're all going to have to tighten our belts. We've been talking budget for a really long time, and everything that I'm hearing means we're going to have to tighten even a little more, which is going to be hard. But really, again, I want to echo the stuff that's been said earlier. We've got great programming. We get a lot of information, and we have to kind of sift through it. And our people also try to be concise when they give it to us, but it's up to us to ask for clarification and ask for more stuff. And that's what happened. I was not happy with all of the information I got on CTE. And yes, I did ask for more, and there were certain places that we were cutting, but I think it's somewhere along the line, people were pitting, one program against the other. And like everyone said, that's not the case. I think the whole board is really committed to keeping the cuts out of the classroom, and we're all working very hard, and we have been for quite some time, and it's not pretty. But thank you so much for all of your emails and your calls, and it really is nice to hear what an impact these things have. And we know we have good programming. We're all very proud of our district and our staff and our administration and all the hard work that they have been doing. I would also like to request that we do meet more often. I know that when things were in the turmoil and at the beginning, we kind of backed off until things could settle, but a weekly meeting so that we can see where it's going, see what's happening with distance learning, see what you have planned. I think would be really good for all of us, because we've never done this before and we've never had to do this before. So I just feel as a board member that I'd like to be more informed. I think the meeting that happened with the choir directors is a very good example of a team working together. And I'm really hoping that all the decisions that are being made by a team, are being made by robust discussions of those people at the sites, at the district, and that we're working together as a team. And that's the direction we were going before all this came. So I'd really like to see more examples of that, to know that that's happening. Let's see, where else? Again, I actually had written the same thing that one of our callers had talked about. It's time to work together. And I think that we are doing that. I would like to have an idea of what kind of accountability we have with the principals and the teachers calling students. I understand that there is some kind of log and there is some kind of stuff. So I would like to request a little feedback on that, so that when we say teachers are calling students and teachers are calling parents, that we have some kind of feedback mechanisms, and that we know, that what percentage of people are getting reached. I also have heard that there's been a fall off in the number of people picking up curriculum. So I'm hoping that we have a way to track that if they're not picking up curriculum, that maybe we've increased our number of online people that are picking up curriculum, and that we haven't just dropped off of delivering the curriculum, because I'm sure all of you, I know I have these ups and downs, and this stuff is hard. This stuff is hard. And just so you know, if we do have another meeting in person, I will not be coming in person. And mostly for your safety, I really do believe that I am a carrier. I have people that I know that have gotten sick and I have not. And just like I do with strep, I would hate to feel that I got some of you sick. So if we do have that, I will not be joining you. Even with the mask, I would feel terrible if I went and infected everybody. What else? Oh, I would also like a report on the Chromebooks. Did we get them all catalyzed? Have they been sent out? I mean, I have so many questions about distance learning, about summer school. So again, I'm hoping that we'll have more time to discuss this stuff and a full report. I haven't been calling, Dr. Reveline every week and saying what's going on. I think you have a lot more important things to do than to talk to all 7 of us individually, but I would like a little more information about that. I know that we were really hesitant about Zoom. I've been in a Zoom meeting with a hacker in there. It's not pleasant, but these are our kids, and we shouldn't, if we have a waiting room, then we can let them in. There are protocols. So I'd really like to know where we're going on that, because what I'm hearing from teachers is that they just feel like they're not teaching, and that they're really missing their kids. And I think it would be nice to do as much of the interaction kind of thing that we can. And my understanding is if you have a waiting room, that it's much safer now than when we originally started to do the Zoom stuff. Also, I'd like to congratulate our student rep, and I'd really like to see those videos when they're done. It's so good to hear that the kids are jumping in and doing all their own video stuff and their graduation stuff and their everything else. So please let us know. I'm really surprised. I know that Jostin's closed, so it's good to hear they're gonna, finish up the yearbooks before they close and all that stuff, and that 2020 at least still gets their yearbook. So woohoo, and congratulations. Thank you.
Trustee Guerrero. Mr. Guerrero. He's frozen, I believe.
Right here. No, can you hear me?
I can now.
Can anybody hear me? Okay, I'm right here. Before I want to bring up one thing here. On the middle school, can we work on that and make it a more memorable promotion? I know that the promotions are not graduations, and there is a discern in the middle schools where they don't do caps and gowns, but getting off, taking a picture with principal or somebody, that might be good. We've all said pretty much the same thing about, that we support VAPA and we support the linked learning and all that. I really believe that is a true sentiment from all board members. One of the things is that the pandemic's new, But some board members, and I specifically, have been here for a while, and I've been through a couple of downturns. One when we were building El Diamante, and then the other when the recession came. And the commitment from the board at that time, during those two times, was to stay out of the classroom, not go into the classroom. So, you know, right now we're hearing that the budget cuts may be 10%, maybe 20% or more, you know. And, you know, I really believe that we're going to need to meet a little bit more and talk about those things, because I'm not feeling good about that. You know, that means that we're going to be making some staff reductions. And I'll tell you that in the recession, that was a real hard one. When the recession hit, what we did is we worked with our associations, and we did something that was unprecedented. And that is, and I know because I was board president at that time. And I remember meeting with the president of the Teacher Association and also the classified staff. And we basically agreed that we, at that time, and I'm not saying we're going to do it right now, that we had to make some adjustments, and we actually froze steps and columns. Okay, we made those decisions at that time, but we worked jointly with our associations. And you know, I think that we need to be prepared and keep in communication with our associations, because we can get hit pretty hard by our budget, whatever's coming around the corner. And I just wanted to say that you know, and you know, we have our teacher associations that we have classified, and we can't be at each other's throats. And you know, nobody wants to be giving out pink slips. Nobody wants to lay anybody off. You know, that's not the sentiment of the board, you know, but oftentimes, you know, you have to make some really tough decisions. And, you know, and during all that time in the past, those two times that I've seen it, that we had experienced that, is that, you know, we stayed out of the classroom, okay? And we kept our programs going. And I remember Superintendent Carasosa said one thing. He said, we all know that we're having these hard budget times, and we all know we're making all these cuts. But what the students know is that they need to get to school. What the students know is they need to get their education, get into class, and they shouldn't feel all this. We have to make these decisions as a board, and we need to work with our associations so that, you know what, we try our hardest not to make this more difficult than what it has to be. Anyway, I want to thank all the staff, everybody, because I know the folks have been working hard. And I know by all those letters I've been reading, and I feel like reading the ones from the students, I know how much the teachers care about students, and I know how much the community cares about their schools. That's it for my report.
Dr. Ravlin?
Thank you. First of all, I just want to take a moment to say how much we all appreciate our staff. They have been working incredibly hard, planning for all the events and online curriculum and curriculum packets and meals for our students. Mostly I want to thank really who are turning out to be our heroes, and that is our Nutritional Services Department, Regina Ocampo, and the staff that she works with. I cannot tell you the countless hours that they put in adjusting for the meals and making sure that menus don't repeat themselves at certain sites, and distributing the food and preparing it in all the packages so that the students and children who show up get a week's worth of 2 meals a day. It's amazing. And they are working so hard. And so I just want to publicly, again, thank them. I do want to talk about our reopening criteria, because that's some of the things that we're starting to look at. You know, that the districts in Tulare County came up collectively with 4 criteria that we would look at in order to safely reopen our sites. And that's that California would lift the stay-at-home order. The number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 in California would remain constant or decline for a 14-day period. The directive to social distance would be removed by the state, and the limit on social gatherings would be removed. So as of this point right now, California is still averaging about 1,800 new cases a day and about 70 deaths a day. So that's not good news. We are not seeing a leveling off at this time. So So we have to look at that. And because of that, we will not be able to reopen this year or have what we would want to have, some type of sense of normalcy for this school year. We are in, as most of you know, the state is moving into phase 2 and the early stages of phase 2, of which schools are in a later phase. And schools are in the later phase with modification. So right now, the Tulare County health officials, even today, noted that there's an increase in community spread. So that's not clusters, that's community spread in our county. And so we have to take that into consideration as well. Pools, sometimes we get questions about pools and playgrounds, and I get emails, probably like you do too, that people would like the playgrounds back open. Pools and playgrounds remain closed. They are not even in stage 2 at all. They're in a later stage. We have worked closely and reaffirmed on Monday with the Tulare County Health Department that we need to keep those facilities closed at this time. So we follow the state orders, and then we work with our Tulare County Health Department as well. So that's where we sort of are, I guess, in the medical COVID-19 stance. This week, and it started today already, our students and families are receiving information from their school site principals regarding the time and days that they will come to school by, mostly by last name, alphabetically, that they'll come and do an exchange. So they'll be able to retrieve any personal belongings that they left and return any school property like textbooks, library books, musical instruments, those types of things. Our school staff this week has done an incredible job. People have gone through lockers, and if you can imagine going through locker rooms after the clothes have sat there for several weeks, probably not the most pleasant job, but they have bagged up every student's individual items, and they continue to do that so that next week when students come at their appointed time, they will receive a bag with all their personal goods, some of them maybe more than one. They will have bags given to them so they can load up textbooks and things in the car, seal those off and hand it off. So there will be an exchange. It's very important that people listen very carefully to the directions by their school principal, because each site is unique.
You got muted, Dr. Evelyn.
Sorry.
We lost it at each site is unique.
Yeah. Each site is unique, and so based on the number of students they have and such, the principals with their teams develop different plans. As we prepare for next year, and some of this you know, but I want to reiterate, our goal is to have internet service available for all of our students. So no matter what school looks like next year, whether it's learning at home, returning to school, or a hybrid of that, some type of mix, that we have the internet service available. And that is why in April we brought to you the contract to put up the antennas and such. We are also cataloging all of our Chromebooks. We had plenty of Chromebooks in the district, but they were not tagged so that they could be checked out with a scanner, much like library books are checked out. So that process we believe would be done by the end of May, so we'll be good to go for summer school and for next year. And I think that Dr. Vasquez asked about that. We will also be bringing you in the future contracts to purchase additional Chromebooks, because some of ours are older models. They don't work anymore with the state testing. And so we need to purchase those as well. And we're also looking at for our kindergartners and first graders to make sure that the Chromebooks have touchscreens. So when young children are reading books off of them, they can just swipe, and much like you would an iPad. So we're doing that. So we've got the internet services we have to take care of for all of our students, making sure that students who need them would be able to check out a Chromebook, that we have a mechanism to check those out. And then we're also exploring English language arts and math software to use district-wide. Some of our schools have it. You may have heard of some schools having Lexia or other schools having IXL for math, but that's not across the board. We do not have a district-wide plan for that yet, but we will. We want to make sure that there's additional platforms available, and we'll be working with teacher groups as well as our curriculum department and others who are expert in those areas. And we'll also be exploring additional platforms. We have been exploring video platforms, even with the weight room on Zoom. There's still been Zoom bombing. But there's many platforms, and we want to make sure whichever one we do choose, that it has the most robust safety features, as well as that we have teacher training available and some type of badging system or certification system, so that we know when the teachers use it, they understand how to use the safety features. So we have a lot to do to gear up for next year. We need to plan for next year. Again, the governor has told us we need to be flexible. We don't know what it's going to look like. It could be anywhere from starting school totally at home or starting school everybody back. We just don't know at this point. So we'll be looking at plans like both of those, but also maybe students come every other day, or maybe certain groups of students come on certain days who need extra supports. Some school districts are planning to start just with targeted groups of students. So, you know, we're going to have to watch the sort of COVID-19 trends and see what we can accommodate. And again, work with our county health department and the state people who provide us with the directives. We also know if we go back to school, we have to be able to expand and contract rapidly. So it's very important that we get all those distance learning pieces in place, because again, we don't know what the future is going to look like. We are waiting for the state to give us some guidelines. We know the budget doesn't look good, but we don't have numbers yet. We've heard a wide range. But we're also waiting for what's the flexibility going to be in the funding, as far as, is it going to be average daily attendance, or is it going to be based on enrollment, or is it just going to be flexible? We don't know that. We don't know if the funding is going to be based, and we're going to have minute requirements for seat time, or is it going to be like now where they allow us to do sort of a mix of working at home and some coming to school. We have to determine things like, we're going to provide masks for every student, you know, once a week. Here's your disposable mask. You better bring it to school every day for the week. What are we going to require as far as those safety types of procedures? Are we, we're talking about putting the plexiglass dividers in the office. So when the public comes in to meet with our office staff, there's some type of barrier there. So we have a lot of things to consider. And if you have individual questions, you know, I've been trying to send information out to the board as we get it. But if you have individual questions or you want more clarification, please call me. Happy to set up a phone meeting or a Zoom meeting with you individually.
Thank you, Dr. Ravelin. All right, that takes care of this portion of the meeting, and the staff that's out there that we can't see is more than welcome to leave. So have a good evening. The general agenda 8.1, resolution for governing board elections on November 3rd, 2020, enclosure number 20, Dr. Ravelin.
All right, we will have 3 VUSD board members up for election, and this is going to allow us, if you pass this resolution, to order the election for November 3rd, 2020. So we would ask that you adopt the resolution.
Do we have any discussion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Fulmer, second by Ms. Vasquez. All in favor, I will call the roll. The student representative, in favor. President Crabtree is in favor. Trustee Foster. Trustee Fulmer. Trustee Gamoyan. Trustee Guerrero.
Yes.
He is in favor. Trustee Vasquez
Yes.
is in favor, so it's unanimous. Thank you all. We'll move on to enclosure number 21, or 8.2, Bond Oversight Committee bylaws. This is a second read. Dr. Ravelin.
Okay, Ms. Naylor is signaling you, I think.
You didn't get my vote.
How did I miss you?
I don't know, but yes.
You're not on the list. No, I skipped right over you. I apologize for that. So now it's unanimous. All right, 8.2, Bond Oversight Committee bylaws. Second read, Dr. Ravelin.
All right, this is being brought back to you as most of you, I hope, are aware, but the general public may not be. We have had many ad hoc meetings with 3 or less board members. Mr. Macia, who's the chair of the Bond Oversight Committee, and Ms. Vieira, who's the vice chair of the Bond Oversight Committee, along with legal counsel, to work on these bylaws in a collaborative manner. And through the going back and forth through that process, we brought bylaws to you before, but there was some additional changes that the board and the Bond Oversight Committee required and requested. So I think Jerry Lemus is somewhere there. He's going to thank you. He's going to share his screen, and there have been no changes except, and Jerry, if you don't mind just scrolling down to where the changes start, because the rest is the same. So if you look in section 4, which is permissible activities, under 4.1, the scope of permissible activities. Jerry, if you could go up to G. G has been added and modified there. So that's why the red line is there next to it. And under 4.2, you'll see that there was some additional changes as well. The last sentence was added that the committee chair may supplement the report to the extent necessary with comments on agenda-sized items at the board's public meetings. So there was some changes that we worked together as an ad hoc committee. Again, 4.1G, and then the last sentence there of 4.2 was changed. So with that, the revised Bond Oversight Committee bylaws were taken to the Bond Oversight Committee. They had additional suggestions, which were now incorporated into H. Their language was a little bit different in that they asked to make recommendations to the board in consultation with legal counsel. They didn't feel like that was the best interest because, again, the Bond Oversight Committee is not supposed to make recommendations on things that they will later approve. So the compromise to that, based on our advice from legal counsel, was at the board's discretion, and this is where you'll see H underlined in red. At the board's discretion, the bond can request that the Bond Oversight Committee can complete other duties as permitted by law. So that little sentence was added. And with that, I think Nick Messia is here available. If Nick, I don't know if you would like to comment on any of that.
Thank you, Superintendent Ravlin. Board members, yeah, H was added based on the discussions that occurred at the Bond Oversight Committee. We understand that we don't want to make any recommendations. We are here at your pleasure to serve and provide you any feedback that you want. The thought process was to add something that gives you that ability to dictate to us what you want us to review.
So does that mean you're good with the changes as they've been amended here?
As stepping on a limb and trying to predict what the rest of the committee may say, which is kind of hard to do, I would say yes, but if there is any other issues with this, we'll come back and propose it to you. But until I bring it back to that committee, I can't tell you if they're going to have any issues or not.
So can we move forward and approve this, Dr. Ravlin?
That is what we are requesting this evening, that you approve them as amended.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mrs. Naylor, a second by Mr. Foster. I will call the roll and not.
Can I have a discussion? I just want to double check. This wording is what the attorneys approved, even
Yes.
after the changes, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good, great, thank you.
And it essentially says the same thing, at least in my opinion, that they were trying to accomplish. It just seems the lawyers got to get their 2 cents in there no matter what. They
And
won't.
the people on the board that got a chance to look at it, Nick, you guys feel good about this too? Where everybody's on the same page now?
Trustee, I think this is exactly what the President Crabtree was stating. The intention is there. We haven't brought it back fully to the committee, but I will do that at the next meeting just to make sure we tie the loose end.
Thank you.
All right, I have a motion by Mrs. Naylor, second by Mr. Foster. I'll call the roll. Student representative. She is in favor. President Crabtree is in favor. Trustee Foster is in favor. Trustee Fulmer is in favor. Trustee Gamoyen
Yes.
Is in favor, trustee Guerrero.
Yes.
Is in favor, trustee Naylor. Didn't
Yes.
miss you. She's in favor, and trustee Vasquez.
Yes.
Very well. The motion carries unanimously. And that concludes our meeting for this evening. Thank you all for being here and your patience. So good night.